G'day guys, Justin here coming at you with another NBA Player of the Day video, this time for November 18th, 2017. Few good games going on today, but my selection with a total impact score of .302 was Giannis Antetokounmpo in what was a surprising loss to the Dallas Mavericks. Again, total impact score of .302. 24 points and 17 rebounds, a pretty impressive game there with the 5 offensive boards. All there, 1 or 2, but again, that's just me being nitpicky. 2 assists, had 3 steals on the game with no blocks. Field at 35%, probably could have started getting to the cup a bit more, considering that Dallas don't have much defensive prowess anywhere on the court. 50% from deep, relied on that jumper a little bit, and 69.2, so nearly made that 70% that you expect from big guys in the league. But a below average night for a guy who's been a serious candidate for MVP so far. 3 turnovers, certainly didn't look good with a negated passing game and the 5 personal fouls, a little sloppy on D there. In nearly 40 minutes of play. But when you do play a lot of sides that tend to drag you down, your level of play also goes with it. But nonetheless, let's get into the breakdown. He had an isolation dribble with Harrison Barnes on the left side. He dribbled into the post and faded away in the lane for 2. Harrison Barnes has been pretty much the star for Dallas over the past 18 months, and that certainly hasn't stopped considering Seth Curry's out. That's a big blow for them. And JJ Barea and Devin Harris, JJ Bryan and Devin Harris, they haven't really had much impact over their career, only in minimal spurts, and they certainly haven't helped this team at the moment. Guys like Dennis Smith Jr. are certainly the future of that ball club, and Yogi Ferrell, probably another small guard that can do some damage, but at the moment they're really not doing much. He then had a basic pass to Chris Middleton at the top of 3, and he made the jumper. Again, this is where passing games really need to be brought into question. And a shout out to Shardy. I talked to him on Twitter a bit about it as well. Identifying how the pass is made and what really makes a good passer. Standing there and just giving the ball to your teammate going, oh yeah, have a shot. That's not a good assist. If you're the kind of person that collapses the D and creates space for your teammate to score, that's great. But if you're not doing that, again, is the pass really worth it? And vice versa, whoever receives the pass, what sort of work do they do? That a good pass or an effective pass at that. He then had a drive and spin on Dwight Powell, who fouled him on the shot, but he made both free throws, so the foul was to no avail. He then drove through the lane and to the cup and scored on Dennis Smith Jr., Harrison Barnes, and Mejri, who tried to block him. Unfortunately, didn't get the ball there, but a 3-on-1 score again. When you're 7 foot, you've got the length, the ability, the athleticism that Giannis has. He should be doing this more regularly. And a side like Dallas, he really could have blown them apart today. Unfortunately, didn't get the win. But nonetheless, no one had a bigger impact on the game and for their team as Giannis did. He then had a high post up on Harrison Barnes. They tried to rotate a little bit on the defensive end, but it's a bit hard to guard a guy who's 7 foot playing anywhere between point guard and center. But shout out to LeBron because, can guard all 5. And Draymond Green, who is a great defender on big guys, asked all the bigs that have dominated him so far this year. So, yeah, he had a high post up on Harrison Barnes. He then turned inside for the drive and scored at the rim on the finger roll. Again, just use that length and that ease to get to the hoop. He then dribbled and posted up on Kleber, who tried to defend him for spurts of this game. He then passed back out to, I believe it was Chris Middleton, and reposted on Kleber, and then drove and score along with the foul at the rim and made the and one. A bit of physicality from Kleber there, but nonetheless a bit hard when the guy's 7 foot, as I mentioned, athletic and has that prowess. On Kleber, and this was quite interesting. This is one of those superstar calls, which I think you'll see Giannis continue to get as the years go on. He had the isolation on Kleber, and Chris Middleton come along for what was pretty much a moving screen, but got away with it. He was then able to use that screen and drive, but Kleber had slipped the screen and was able to gain the space. And it should have been a charge, or at least, it had to be something for Kleber. They called a no call, but again, I thought Kleber had the space. So after slipping the screen and gaining position for the charge, he was hammered into by Giannis. But unfortunately, there was no call made and the basket counted. And a lot of confusion reigned in from what looked to be the 30 people that were attending the American Airlines Center. But nonetheless, it was a bit of physical play, and he defended the space well, Kleber. He was just unlucky, A, not to get the foul, and B, that the basket fell in. And that's something that you'll notice with a lot of guys. They're not used to that contact getting to the hoop, which is something I'm surprised it was either A, not a call for Giannis, and B, just simply wasn't a charge call, because for me, he had position. Should have been a charge all day. But as I mentioned, you need to look at someone like a Giannis who's really developing his game and really coming along in spurts as one of the best players in the league now. He's going to start getting those superstar calls and that preferential treatment, which, you need to judge when you're certainly looking at things like this. He then stole the ball from Giannis Smith Jr., who intended the pass for Dirk, but Dirk fouled him on the breakaway. No clear path because there was a defender nearby and ahead of him, but nonetheless, smart foul there by Dirk. But again, just good smarts by Giannis, and again, using his length to intercept the pass. Sort of a bad idea to try and throw it up and over pass when you're being defended by a 7-footer and you're on the rim side and he's able to cover the space between the ball. Just happens. He then inbounded the ball to Bledsoe on a high post area and passed it back, who then passed it back out to Giannis on the 45, and he hit the jumper over Wes Matthews. That was nothing. Had space to get up. It was a late contest, nothing but net. So following the inbound play there, he stole the ball off of a JJ Barea pass intended for Pharrell. Barea had pretty much back-to-back turnovers there with his next few possessions. Barea is famous for two things. Both of them involving Andrew Bynum, his man boobs and the fact that he threw an elbow that would have killed, most small guys going to the rim, which was one of the last physical players we've seen in the league. Actually, shout out to Andrew Bynum. Hope you're not tearing hamstrings getting off the couch. But yeah, Barea just really hasn't done much in recent times. I mean, there was the time there where he was helping Dallas win championships, and he was playing well as a slashing guard, and making guys like Kobe Bryant look absolutely hopeless on defense in 2011 when that Mavs team went on a terrific run. But he's really not doing much at the moment. So he tried to make the pass that was intended for Yogi Ferrell, and it was just straight up a steal for Giannis. There's then a screen by McRoberts, which allowed Giannis to post up at the foul line on Pharrell. Pharrell went a hell of a lot smaller. He just backed him down to a suitable distance and faded away with plenty of airspace to get the ball up and made the shot. He then again stole another Barea pass. As I mentioned, those back-to-back turnovers pretty much in consecutive possessions for Barea on a pass intended for Powell. Again, Giannis just making good use of his length and getting to where the ball was. And then following a Thon Maker miss, he grabbed the offensive board and was fouled by Devin Harris on a putback, and unfortunately only made one of two. And that was pretty much the last play that Giannis had for that game. Again, just unfortunate that he wasn't able to do it as much as he would have liked. You can clearly see that this guy's one of the 5 best players in the league at the moment. I don't think that's a question. And that he's really not getting what he needs out of his team at times, if you ask me. 24 and 17, that poor shooting certainly didn't help him, but there's not much a guy can do if he's going to put 24 and 17. His team's not going to come along for the ride. Total impact score, asking wants to go with that. Again, I need to stress, because you pour in a heap of points, or just because you pour in a heap of rebounds or a heap of assists, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get player of the day. Overall, Giannis had a bigger impact on his team as far as total contributions, and that's mainly why he got the player of the day here. Practically responsible for 30% of it. So what's that do? Again, total impact score of 0.302, 24 points, 17 rebounds, 5 of those offensive, 2 assists and 3 steals. Unfortunately negated his passing game by the 3 turnovers. He tried to gain that back with the steals, so he somewhat balanced it out a little, but his 5 personal fouls were some sloppy D there, and that's just equated to having a poor offensive night, not getting in the groove. 40 minutes, pretty handy contribution minutes-wise there, but unfortunately getting the loss to someone like Dallas, it's about as impressive as dropping 48 points on Phoenix or 90 points and a half against Phoenix. It's expected to have that sort of numbers. But again, my player of the day for the 18th of November was Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks in what was, for me, a surprise loss to the Mavs with a total impact score of 0.302, 24 points, 17 rebounds, 5 offensive rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, no blocks, 35% from the field, 50% from deep, 69.2 from the stripe. So pretty much a subpar shooting game for Giannis there. 3 turnovers and 5 fouls, subpar on the defensive end and possession end in just under 40 minutes of play. Thank you very much for watching the video. Hit like and subscribe. Check out my channel. Catch up on previous players of the day. I did a reasonably big roundup video yesterday of players that I missed, players of the week, and players of the day. Check out my previous players of the day. Let me know who your player of the day was, how the grading scale's gone, anything you feel like you're grading players or general broadcast as well. Again, thank you very much for watching. Hit me up on Twitter, Justin_G_Bryan, always posting links to videos, always commenting socially, whether it be about sport or in general, always up for a conversation. So hit me up there, don't be a stranger. Just a quick update though on the fixture and the standings for the week. We have only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams undefeated. We have Toronto at 3-0. We have Boston at 3-0, and at 2-0 we have the Cavs, Indiana, and Minnesota. So their teams, and certainly players on those teams, are looking at players of the day. A few teams with 2-1 fixtures and teams at 1-1 that can certainly improve. But then you've got other teams that are struggling to get a win this week. Teams like Orlando, teams like New Orleans, especially with their big two, which is concerning. Memphis been very, very hot and cold this season, considering their start. The Lakers are just too young. Detroit 0-2 after a good couple of weeks, and the Clippers have certainly faded away from their start of the season. So looking to improve on the week with some pivotal players, and as I mentioned, other 2-1 are sitting at 500, certainly looking to improve as well. So again, guys, thank you very much for watching. This has been my Player of the Day video for the 18th of November 2017. Giannis Antetokounmpo in a surprising loss to the Dallas Mavericks. Thanks again, guys, and I'll see you soon.